Welcome everyone to our Alfasoft online demo day, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Torgrim Sambal, and I'm the product manager for statistics and data analysis here at our Norwegian office at Alfasoft. In the next webinar, we will be presenting EndNote titled How to Get Started with EndNote 20. And it will be done by our very own Peter Maserat, who is cited at our Swedish office in Gothenburg. But before we start, just a little housekeeping. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question box in the GoToWebinar panel on your right. We will try to answer them during the presentation, and we will also hopefully have time for questions at the end. You will all be muted during the presentation to avoid any audio problems. And please note that we will be recording this webinar, and both the recording and the questions from this session will be answered and made available to you afterwards. We will send you all an email with links to the recordings, the question and answers, and any related resources as soon as we have edited them and published them, hopefully by mid next week. With that, I will hand over the screen to you, Peter, so you can get started with your presentation.
Thank you.
Best of wishes and good luck with your presentation.
Thank you. Let's see that we have everything correctly. So, good morning, as Torgrim said, and thank you for coming and listening to this session about EndNote. Let me start by presenting myself again. So my name is Peter Maserat, and I work at Alfasoft. I have a background in research and a degree in microbiology. And I started working with EndNote because I realized how big of a waste of intellectual resources it is if a researcher handles references manually, deciding, if a title should be bold or not. Especially after having done half my PhD manually before someone even told me that there were reference or software for reference handling that even existed. And I even remember when you ordered your references articles from the library, and after a day or two, got them back as paper copies to be added, to the stack of papers at your office. But with that said, let's have a look at EndNote and how it works today. So you can see here my contact details and Alfasoft's contact details, and I want to actually start by emphasizing our support page that we have at support.alfasoft.com, where you can find a lot of answers and also create your own support tickets that we can help you with. If you buy the software from us, technical support is always included. So what is EndNote? Really fast. I know our audience today is quite diverse, ranging from people who never used reference software to people using older versions of EndNote, for instance, or the new version for EndNote. And maybe I think we even have a poll, Torgrim. Maybe you can run that while I keep talking here, so we can get an overview of the audience today.
Sure, Peter. I will present the poll here.
You can do that, and I can just keep talking while people fill out the poll. So EndNote is an online search tool, and it allows you to search online bibliographic resources, online databases, and retrieve references directly into your EndNote library. It's also a reference and full text organizer, so you can get all your full text PDFs or articles in there. And it has a collaborative online solution and will keep all your material organized and easily accessible. One thing that I always emphasize is that everything is searchable in EndNote. So everything you add to EndNote is searchable. But it's also, of course, a bibliography maker, and that's something. There are no standard here. All journals have their own standard or their own idea of how the bibliography and the citations in the text should look like. And EndNote comes with more than 7,000 output styles defined for different journals, but some of them also covers multiple journals. So we're probably reaching tens of thousands of journals, or covering tens of thousands of journals. And it's heavily integrated EndNote to Microsoft Word, but you can use it by multiple different text editing tools. And in the end, EndNote is also a help to publish your articles. Yes.
Yes, I just closed the poll. 46% is using of your audience is using EndNote 20, the latest version. 29% is new to EndNote, so quite a few actually, and 25% is using EndNote X9 or an older version of EndNote.
Okay, perfect. Then it makes my job really hard, because we have everyone here. So let's see what we can do with that. Thank you. So let's see what we're going to look at. We're going to look at how to create a library. Some things are really basic. Some things I'm going to try and give some tips then to those of you who are using EndNote 20 already. So we're going to look at adding references, adding PDFs, full text, some cite-while-you-write. But then I'm actually going to focus on the groups today, somewhat in EndNote, and see what, if I can show you some good tips there and some news there when it comes to that. So with that said, let's see if we can get started straight away with EndNote. I'm going to see if I can find EndNote myself on my computer. There we go. So EndNote is started, and it starts by asking me a question, of course, to what I want to do, if I want to open an existing library or create a new one. I'm going to create a new one. I think I'll already show this to some of you, because I always emphasize this. There are some things that are quite important when you create an EndNote library. So I again want to emphasize this. When you start your first EndNote library, you can call it whatever you want to. It always asks you where to save it, but there are some places that you should not, or there are some places that you should, where you should save it. So you shouldn't save it on any sync services, like third-party sync services. It's because it's a database. No databases supports third-party syncing. Networks are sometimes behaving like third-party syncing, so we try to avoid that, but you should save it on your PC, locally on your PC if possible. That's just the take-home message here, where you're supposed to think about when you save your library. So I'm going to save it on. I'm going to save a new one here, and I'm just going to call it new library. I don't have a better fantasy today, and click save, and it should bring up a library of the new EndNote 20. So those of you who are new, this is the new interface. We'll be looking a little bit more about that. So if I want to add references here, I'm going to use PubMed. So I'm going to take up PubMed for you. We have, let's see, there we have PubMed. I'm just going to search for something really simple here. So I'm going to search for sushi. I will get some results for everything, and I'm just going to highlight the 5 first to have something to work with quite easily. This is of course different for all different online databases, but let's look at PubMed because it's heavily used. I want to send the 5 that I just highlighted. I will send it to my citation manager. It will ask me what I want to send. I will send this 5, and let's click create file, and there we go. Everything is imported into EndNote. So these are my 5. If I click on one, I really want to. You can see that all the information that's been downloaded here. You can see the abstract and everything. If I click on the edit file here, edit tab, you will see all the reference information that's been downloaded to my EndNote. With that said, I can also connect EndNote directly to PubMed. So I have a group here called online search, which is also looks a bit different. If I click on PubMed, there are several thousands of online connection files to different online databases. Some are, of course, subscriptions. You need to pay for them. Some are free, like PubMed or the Swedish National Library or Library of Congress. They are all free. Most library databases are free, but I'm going to connect to PubMed, and right now you can see that I'm connected to PubMed here and searching in PubMed. So I'm going to search for sushi again, just to show you how that works. If I connect EndNote directly, so it's searching in PubMed, shows me all the results, 648 in total. It just downloaded 25 to a temporary library for me. But I'm just going to highlight a few here. You can see that on the main window here, or the preview window to the right, you can see that I can preview the references and see if they are what I like to have. But I'm gonna download 10 references here and see where we at. Well, I'm gonna add a few more here so we have something to work with. There we go. So these ones I want to keep. You can see the group to the left here. These are my groups, and the top group is all references. So I have 5 in my library right now. I have a temporary library here from PubMed with 25 downloaded, but that's going to be gone if I close EndNote and reopen EndNote. Those are going to be gone, so I need to save them to the all reference group here, and I do that by highlighting the ones I want to keep and clicking on this plus sign. So let's click on that, and I now have 16 references in total in my EndNote library. Of course, there are some duplicates, but EndNote take care of that. I just click on find the duplicates here. Oh, didn't find any duplicates. That's good. So I have 16 brand new references here. If I need to, if I want to collect PDFs for these, it's quite easily. I can, if I click on a reference, you will see it in the preview window to the right, and I have this attached file here. I can click on that, and I can search for the file on my computer to attach that. Same goes if I click on this edit tab and I scroll down. There is a field for the file attachments here, and I have the same attached file button here. So I can do that. But what I'll do instead is I'll highlight all of this, and I'll ask EndNote. So I go to references. Well, actually, I'm going to click on this icon here, search the web for full text documents. So what happens now? Well, EndNote starts looking for, you can see that here in this full text group to the left here, that it starts searching for online databases. So I'm just scared that that something happened with internet. Well, here we go. It starts finding information here. So let me show you how this works and why it works. EndNote needs to identify specifically that exact reference, and it can use different things to do that, or you can use different parameters to find that. So you can use the title and author, for instance, or you can use a number of different numbers, ID numbers, to identify articles. But if you look at the accession number or the PMID number and so on, they are all specific for that specific online database. So the accession number or the PMID number in PubMed is specific for PubMed. It's not specific if you go to another online database. But there is a number, and that's the digital object identifier, the DOI number, and that's specific for the published document on internet. So it's the same, the DOI number is the same regardless of what online database you go to. So with that said, let's have a look again at EndNote, and it should have found some. So if we look at this group here, the find full text group, you can see that it did find for nine references, it did find the full text PDF. You can see the full text PDF to the right here, it's attached. I can open it, I can preview it in the preview window here, where I also at the top here, I have a mail icon where I can mail it to someone and it will be attached to a document. let's see, let's open it. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to open it in the built-in PDF viewer in EndNote. So you don't even have to have PDF viewer installed on your computer. Doing this, I can highlight information. So I have this markup annotation toolbar here. I can highlight text, for instance. I can add a comment. So I'm going to add this and write my own name. Have a look at this. So that's all saved in my PDF. And you can see that sometimes it flashes indexing PDF. So any PDF that you attached in EndNote, the content will be indexed. So it's made searchable for you to use in and search for in whenever you search. You can search for it there as well. So if I look at the PDF here, you can see that my comment and my annotation is there as well, or my comment and highlighting is there as well. For some of these references, it didn't find any PDFs. So if I look at the PDFs here, there is an icon for attachments here. But for some of them, it didn't find, but it did find a URL. So if I click on one, you will see that it did find this URL for me. So if I click on this URL, let's see where it opens up on my other screen here. It takes me to the journals, to the article in that journal, and often I can get the PDF from that site if I want to. So it's all there to help me. And for some, then of course, two of these, it didn't find anything. It couldn't find anything. Just remember that EndNote will ask for the PDFs, looking for the PDFs in something in a cross-ref database. And if the service doesn't, if the server doesn't respond in time, it will just keep on going to the next reference. So you can redo the find full text PDF whenever you want to get more full text PDF. And if you're sitting in an organization and they have subscriptions, that you will be added, EndNote will use those sources as well. So let's now we have some references. Let's see if we can quite fast go to and have a look at how it looks in Word. In that, here we go. So we just collected our references. Make this a little bit bigger. We collected our references. Now we want to use them in our manuscript. So if we want to add a reference, I just put the cursor in the first sentence here, wherever I want to add it. I go to the EndNote toolbar here. Remember that it should say the same version number as it says that you have installed. So if you have EndNote 20, it should say EndNote 20 in the toolbar. If it's EndNote X9, it should say EndNote X9. If you have EndNote 20 installed and it says EndNote X9 here, well, then you're using the wrong toolbar version, and that won't work. If it doesn't say any version number here at all, it just says EndNote, then you're connected to EndNote Online instead and not your local EndNote. In this case, I want to add a citation here just to show you what it looks like. So I'm going to click on the magnifying glass on the EndNote toolbar. It will give me this search window here. It's a simplified search. So whatever I write here, if I write 2021, for instance, it will find all references containing the text string 2021. So it doesn't need to be the year field here. You can see the last one is from 2022, but somewhere in the reference, there is a text string 2021. So it just finds that. But I'm going to take one of these. I'm going to add it and just click insert. So it will add that and it creates my bibliography for me straight away. So if I want to add more references, well, I can also go directly to EndNote and choose my references in EndNote instead. So I'm going to go to EndNote here and have a look at all my references. I'm going to choose 3 references that I want to add. Let's have these ones. There we go. So I want to add these, and I can just click on this insert a citation for the selected. So let's click on that, and those 3 references are added to my document at that very location. So what if you want to add one citation first? Well, let's and then add another one. So I'm going to do that the same here. I'm just going to take a reference. I'm going to add that again. and it will be added. So I want to add another one there. Well, if I click on this, you can see that there is a field code, a hidden field code, which means that I'm just seeing the result of that. So this is the take-home message. If you're going to use EndNote to handle your references in Word, then you should let EndNote handle your references in Word. If you try to do that manually here, adding things manually, it doesn't work well because you only see the result of a field code. And if you corrupt that field code, well, EndNote won't recognize it. So what I'll do is if I want to add another citation here, I'm going to go up to my toolbar again, and you'll see that I have this added and manage citations here. And I'll click on that. That will give me a list. I'm going to move this, a list of all my citations in my document. It's synced to my document. So if I click on the top reference here, number 1, it will jump to that location in Word for me. But I want to work in this with this second one here. You can also see how many times you used a reference. So I want to add another reference here, and I do that by going to that location, clicking on this edit reference here, and I'm going to click on insert citation, which then gives me this search window again, and I can choose whatever reference I want to. I can click insert. You will now see that there are 2 references here at this location. Still only 1 in my document, so I can keep on editing references here, adding or removing references from different points in my library. And if I click OK, well, then it's updated my document at this very location. Let's quickly also look another reason why you should use EndNote. Well, another reason why you should use EndNote is, of course, because you save a lot of time. So let's say we want to send this well, rather say that we want to add another citation to the beginning of this reference. I'm using this document. I'm using a numbered style here. So it means that all my references are numbered in order of appearance, and the bibliography is numbered. So if I go to the very top here, or let's say I want to add here, I want to add another reference. So I'm going to do like this. I want to add another, like that. I want to add a reference at the beginning of this sentence. Well, if I would do this manually, I would have to renumber my whole bibliography. I would have to renumber all the citations in the text manually. But by using EndNote, in this case, I can just insert any citation here. I'm going to go for search something else here. I'm going to take this one from 2006 instead. I'm going to insert that at, let's see if I can show you this, at the very beginning. What happens is that EndNote takes care of all the renumbering for me. So let's insert this at the beginning. So all my references and my whole reference list is now automatically renumbered. And it's very, very fast, and it's very, very convenient and saves you so much time. If you want to send this I'm going to save this. No, yeah, I'm going to save this. If you want to send this to a journal, for instance, Elastic, never send it like this, because these are active references or citations, and they can mess up your citations for you. What you want to do is I want to convert this. I'm going to go to this convert, and there's a convert to plain text. I get this warning telling me that EndNote will create a copy of the document. So right now it's called demonstration document. If I click OK, it will create a copy without the name, document 1. It looks exactly the same. But if I click on the references here, nothing happens. It's not gray marked because this is just text. According to EndNote, there are no references in this document. It's just plain text material, and I can do whatever I want to with that. So this is the way you want to send your document. I know this is, don't save. Let's take this. Oh, hang on. There we go. Don't save. I know this is going fast, but you will have the recording to look at afterwards. So if we take a look at these references here, there are something we need to know, which means there's several things that decide how your references will look like in a document, and it's important to understand how this works. So when you use EndNote, you start by collecting your reference information. So you start by downloading, for instance, either adding it manually or downloading it from an online database. Now, that reference information in combination with the output styles, and you can see here in the box in red that there are more than 7,000 output styles. Those two in combination decides how your reference or bibliography will look like, because it differs. Different journals handles different reference types or different information in the reference type differently. So remember that it's not the same that you add your reference information and then you take an output style and it looks exactly like this. Well, it varies quite heavily. Some journals look very similar, some look completely different in the how they handle references. So, but in all cases, you will have use with EndNote or help by EndNote doing this. So let me show you an example of this, of course, how this would work for you in, here we go, in Word. So in this case, I'm using a numbered style, which is a generic style for the references. But if I go up to my EndNote toolbar here, I have this box where it says style, and I can choose another style. So I can choose, for instance, let's say Harwood, which is a common style used by many journals. So if I click on this, all my my references look completely different, of course, but it's already reformatted. You know, just imagine doing this manually. Also, if you look at this, you will see that, let me see if I can show you this one, Ando from 2021. You will see that the, let's see if I can, oops, sorry. Let's see if you can see that. Well, I'm going to try to highlight it here for you to see. So this is the journal name for this reference from Ando from 2021. So you can see that it's abbreviated. So the style Harwood uses an abbreviated form. Let's see if this works if I added this. If I change to APA 7, for instance, and I look at this, well, it's the same. So let me go back and show you how that works by looking at it here instead. So let's take Ando and see if that works. And we have, yes, it should work. So let me see if we have this. Here we go. This is a tip for you, all of those using you. You can see that in this article, I have the, you can see that the actual reference or the actual journal name I have is abbreviated. So it will of course be abbreviated in my my reference list. And the problem with that is that all of these journals don't want it abbreviated. Some want the full journal name. Well, what I can do is I can import something called a journal term list. So I'm going to do that quite fast here. I'm going to import a journal term list, the ones for the medical system. Let's import that. That's 14,500 journal names included with all the abbreviations. So let's have a look at that and see how that chooses this. Now you can see I'm still using the same style here that I'm previewing, but now I have the full journal name automatically, even though I only have the abbreviated form in my actual reference in EndNote. And the reason is because I just gave EndNote a list with more than 14,000 references that it can change from abbreviated to non-abbreviated. And if I go to Harwood, for instance, that uses the as is, you can see that it's still abbreviated in that form. But now EndNote can switch between abbreviated and full journal names. So with that said, let's keep on going because I know time is flying, and I'm really keen on showing you how this group functionality works and what you can do with that. So I'm going to show you a quick way of how you could use the groups. So the groups is here. I'm talking about the groups that are my group. So let's say I have a lot of references from, well, I have a lot of references 2021, and I want to use some of them. but I need to check them, quality check them, you might say, to decide which one do I really want to use. So I'm gonna search here in my year field. So I'm gonna search for 2021 to find, all references from 2021. So I'm gonna click on search. So I found 9 references from 2021. So these are the ones, and I'm going to create something called a smart group. I'm going to do that from here. You can do it several ways, but I'm going to do it here. So I'm going to go click on search options. I'm going to say, okay, convert to smart group. So here's the smart group with 9 references. I'm going to rename this so we know what we're doing. So I'm going to call it 2021 smart. If I right click on this and click edit group, you will realize, you might see that, recognize this. So it's from the top here. So it's actually a search algorithm running in the background all the time, searching for references from 2021. Now I'm going to right click on this again, and I'm going to create not a smart group that we created last time. I'm going to create what's called a manual group. So I'm going to call this to be used. So I'm looking here in my smart group, all the reference on 2021. I'm going to use this one, Alexander. So I'm going to take this and drag. So remember, this is tip. You can drag references between the groups. So I'm going to drag it to this to be used group here. So you can see that there's a 1 here. So I'm going to use that one, and I'm going to use this from Gonzalez also. I'm going to drag that as well to my to be used group. So now I have 2 here. So let's see, Alexander Gonzalez, and which one haven't I looked at? Well, it was Alexander, and there was Gonzalez, but which one was? You can understand that if you have 100 references or 50 references to do this, it gets really frustrating knowing what it is. So we're going to use a third group. So we have the smart group, which is a search algorithm running in the background all the time. We have our manual group that we manually put reference into. But I want to know, in this case, I want to know, okay, in my smart group here, which ones haven't I looked at? Which ones haven't I looked at? So I'm going to create another group. I'm going to right click on this. I'm going to create a group from groups. So I have a group called to be used. You can see it here to the left. And then I'm going to name this group to be checked. So these are the ones that I want to decide, should I or should I not use them? So I want to include all the references in the smart group here. So all the references from 2021. But in this case, I'm going to say, but not the references that are already then in my to be used group, because I already looked at them. I already vetted them and said that these are the ones I'm gonna use. So if everything works now according to plan, there will be a new group created called to be checked. That group will be based on all the references from 2021, but it will not include the references that I already picked. So I should have 9 references minus those 2, so 7 references. Let's click on create. So now I have a group here with 7 references. So these are the references that I have not used so far. Okay, you say, but this is all fine and good, but I can do this manually. But now to the beautiful part. The smart group is a smart group. It's a dynamic group. It updates dynamically in the background all the time. The groups by groups is also a dynamic group. So I can start using this to be checked. So these are the ones I haven't checked. So I want to use this the second Gonzalez. And look what happens. If I take this and I drag it and I add it to the to be used group here, look what happens to this one. So I'm going to add it. Well, I'm actually going to add it. I'm going to take it from well, I'm going to add it here. So I'm going to drag it here and I'm going to add it to this to be used group. And my to be checked group is updated automatically. It's removed from there. And not only that, if I go to all my references and I take a reference from 2015 here and I say, no, this reference is not from 2015. it's actually, I'm going to change that. It's actually from 2021. Well, hang on. Then it should be added to this work outline or process that I'm using here. So let's click on save. Right now, there's 9 references in total here. There are 6 that I still need to check, and there are 3 that I have vetted and decided to use. So let's click on save, because I'm changing one reference now to go from 2015 to 2021 instead. So let's click on save. Here we go. Now I have 10 to check instead of 9, and 10 total instead of 9, and I have 7 instead of 6 to check, but I still have my 3 here. And it works the other way around. So I can even take this. I just decide that I have this Chen from let's make sure that I don't have it here. No, I don't. So I take this Chen Zeng from 2021. I drag it from here to this to be used group instead. Oops, I just clicked escape. So I'm going to drag it here. So I have 4 here, and my to be checked group just automatically updated. So it could be a really useful way to do that. And I know time is running out, so I'm actually going to show you one more thing here that's quite nice. I have a reference that, well, I guess we can just do it like this. I'm going to create a new library. I don't know about you, but I need more coffee. So I'm going to call this sync2 in this case, because this library, it's an empty library. If I can get it, there we are. So this is an empty library. I will go to click on this cogwheel bar here. I will go on the column titles, click on this cogwheel. It will take me to the preferences, and in the preferences I have sync, and in the sync I have this enable sync. And if you don't have an EndNote Online account, I urge you to create an EndNote Online account. Even if you don't want to sync your library, then you can uncheck this sync automatically. You see, it's not checked, so my library is not synced automatically. I have to manually click to sync it. But I want you to create an EndNote Online account anyway, and I'll show you why. In this case, I already added my credentials here, so I'm just going to sync this library because I know that then everything will be downloaded. So I'm going to go to library here. I will sync. I will get this warning, but I'll click OK anyway. And now EndNote will start downloading information from my EndNote Online account. So these are another library that I already synced once, but since I created a new empty library, this is what I would do on a new computer: create a new empty library, and all my libraries would be, all my EndNote Online, all the references that I've synced previously on another computer will be downloaded. So it should be fine. It should be okay. I will click on sync status here, and it will check, and it looks like this is my local library here, and this is my online library, and they all match. So I'm all set. But what I wanted to show you is this. First of all, I want to show you this retraction. If you have an EndNote Online account, EndNote will check for retracted articles for you. So these are articles that has been retracted for some reason. If I open up here, you will see that I have this, and this is new in EndNote 20. If you can see that I have this retracted publication up here. If I click on it, I will have some information why it's retracted. And if I click on read more, it will take me to that journals page where it says why it's retracted. So in this case, it's retracted by the authors for some reason, and you can read more about that. But this is really good, and it's sometimes it's been a big for customers of ours. It's been a big like, oh, I see, because they have libraries with maybe 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, up to 25, 30,000 references. And as soon as they create an EndNote Online account, they don't even need to sync, because EndNote checks this via the DOI number of the reference. So it checks the DOI number against the retraction watch database, and it creates this group and shows you whatever references it can find that has been retracted. And you, of course, don't want to use that in your own like this one. You don't want to use this in your own publications or in your own research. So that's one thing I want to show you that's really nice with the new EndNote 20. And for those of you who are new, you can see that it looks quite differently overall, the interface. I also want to show you this. You will see that I have a lot of groups here, and you can create 5,000 groups, and you can create different group sets that is collapsible like this. So and that's really good. But before it was, I would almost say, useless to be able to create 5,000 groups, because if you have 5,000 groups here, it's going to be a lot of scrolling in order to find whatever group you're looking for, and it's just not a good way to work. So they added at the very bottom here, you can say that it says here search for group. It's really a filtering function. So what I can do is whatever I write here, EndNote will filter for in the group names. So if I write, you can see I have a lot of reference here with the ref in them. So I'm gonna write here ref, and it will filter all my my groups according to any group names containing the characters ref. So it will be shown here, and so just remember that any that don't have that. So I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to highlight this one, this group, and you see that I highlighted it. If I take away the filter, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4 references here, and if I take away this filter here, and I click and delete the filter, you will see that the same group is still highlighted, but instead of 4, I have 6 groups. So just remember, it looked for ref, but in the 2 of these groups, the letters ref is not there. So just remember that when you do this. But I can just write A, for instance, and it will show me all the groups with an A in it. So let's add more, a D. I don't even need to know the absolute name of my group. I just add letters that as I remember them. Or I can write, in this case, I'm looking for this specific group here, and I don't remember whatever it is, but I know that it's about styles. So I'll start writing style in this case, and it will show me any groups with the letters STI in this case. So really, really useful if you start using the groups. And I urge you to use the groups. It can be so good to organize your library and to get a good work process going for you. I don't know how it looks like for it's 47. Usually we get a lot of questions here, and I don't know if you want me to keep on going with this.
Hi, Peter. We actually don't have that many questions this time. I think I've answered all of them. I had quite an interesting question that made me thinking, and that is if you want to edit or open many references at once, so multiple references. In earlier versions, you just double-clicked and it opened in a separate window, the references. Do you have any workaround for this? I answered that you open a new tab.
Yep.
Is that
so that should be, if I highlight this, I can click on open new tab, and you will see I have I will open it. I will get a tab with references, because the prior you opened the, as you said, you opened this what was shown here as the edit tab, sort of, to edit this reference was a separate window, but it's not anymore. So what you have to do is you will need to open multiple tabs instead in order to access multiple references at the same time.
Yeah, it is a bit unfortunate that I see that when you open a new tab, it says all references, no matter what references you have selected in the window. It would be nice if it took the author name and record number, so you had some indication of what reference is open in the different tabs, because you can have many tabs around here. Yeah. So I think we need to report that to the developers of EndNote. It would be nice to have. Yeah. There also was a question about short form. So if you inserted a reference and you're using a style that uses the short form of the journal name, how to find the full name. I just answered that I think the best is just to open your EndNote library and open the journal term list. You will find it under the library menu in your EndNote, and then just look up. There you will find both the full name and the short names, the abbreviation used.
Yep.
I think
there's also, if you use, for instance, some footnote styles, they use short title. So you have a field for that as well. And sometimes it's often specific for footnotes to do that.
Yeah, I see that there's coming in question all the time. Do you want one more, or should we take?
I can actually show you something that's quite interesting as well, which is this. Let's see if I can. If this is the. Oh no, that's not the one I want to look for. Here we go. Here it is. So I want to show you this. So I have this reference here that is a manuscript in progress. So I want to show you that you cannot only. I have a PDF attached here, but you can attach any file, up to 35 files. So in this case, I created, for instance, my PowerPoint to this one. So I will have that PowerPoint available straight away in EndNote for my presentation of this manuscript. Or I can, in this case, let me see if I can find it again. Here I have my calculations, my Excel calculations with all my graphs that I'm going to use and calculations for those that I also can open straight from EndNote. And all these files are saved within my EndNote library. But what I show you is I'm going to open this Word document, which is my manuscript. So what I want to show you is something called Manuscript Matcher. I'm going to take a few minutes to that because I really like these features, and especially if you're new in research, if you're starting up your career, it can sometimes be hard to find journals where you want to publish your manuscript in, or your papers. So I have this journal here, and in my EndNote toolbar, I actually have this Manuscript Matcher. You need an EndNote Online account. Again, EndNote Online account, free to create, and can give some really nice benefits. So I'm going to click on this. It should open up my Manuscript Matcher and log into my account, and you can see that it's already uploaded all the references in my manuscript. Let me see if I can find that. I'm going to take that to another screen here so I can work simultaneously. So all it asks me for is to add whatever title I created and to create my and whatever abstract I have. Just remember that this is a fake article that I created just quickly, and it will take keywords from my title and my abstract. It will use my citations that I've used in my manuscript. It will use the citations used in those citations in order to find a good journal to publish in. So if I click on find journals here, it will actually show me a set of journals where it thinks this is a good place this could be a good place to publish. It gives me the options here to submit directly or just read up on the journal. It gives me the impact factor for the current year and for the last 5 years in order to see whether this is a trending or not trending journal. For instance, it gives me if it finds any similar articles, it gives me that. I can click on that similar article and see what it is. Adaptive frequency shifts in echolocation. Well, I'm writing about bats and echolocation, so that makes sense. Let's go back to the result. And here you can also see more detail. You can expand these hits here, and you can see more details about why they think it's a good fit. So it's a really nice way to get that help you need in order to find somewhere to publish. If you're in the beginning of your career, or even if you're not in the beginning of your career, you might be writing an article that's a little bit out of your area of expertise and need some help in finding a good way. I think that's going to be it. It's 5 minutes to the next one. I don't know how much time you want to start up the next presentation.
Yeah, Peter, I think we have to make ready for the next presentation. Thank you for the great presentation. We had some more questions, but as I said before, when we started, we will answer all the questions and make them available for you, hopefully by mid next week. So just wait for that email in your inbox.
And also, just before we quit, if you want to learn more, our next training is coming up at May 11 that you can sign up for. You find this our trainings on our webpage, and I really recommend that, especially if you're starting up with EndNote. You know, to do a training first and not find out in a couple of years that you did everything wrong.
Absolutely, that's a good advice. Okay. Thank you once again, Peter. I will switch to the next presentation.